Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zach, and today I am driving a 2000 Toyota Land Cruiser VX Limited Active Vacation. Up front is a 4.7 liter V8, and down below is a 4-speed automatic transmission. Now, I am super excited to be driving this Land Cruiser for two reasons. First of all, I think this is a great era for the Land Cruiser. That V8 is unstoppable, built very, very well, and we just don't get the big Land Cruisers here in the United States anymore, so I'm enjoying my time here. But the second reason is the fact that this is the Active Vacation, and so there are some pretty cool additions that came with that trim level back in the day that I will somewhat show you here today. But if you'd like to submit your own vehicle and have it reviewed here on the channel, you can head on over to my website, zackpradel.com/submit. It's a quick and easy submission form. It takes under a minute to fill out, and I come out to you. And if you'd like to see all my videos weeks or sometimes months in advance, you can head on over to my Patreon for only $5 a month. Last but not least, huge thank you to JDM Select Imports here in Wisconsin. Please check out their inventory down below, or if you're interested in importing a car, contact them and they can find the right car for you. But let's get back to that big old V8 up front. Well, is it very powerful? Not really, and around town it's a little sluggish here and there. But what it is built to do is run and run and run and run. It is a very, very reliable V8, and it makes good power for what it is. But yeah, this is what you want when the time stops, when the last clock breaks, when the last drop of clean water is consumed and the earth is a fiery hellscape. I want this Toyota V8 powering me into the horizon, and that's what you get in a vehicle like this. Absolutely love it. What it lacks in performance, it makes up for in reliability and sustainability, and sometimes that's more important. Now, like I said, paired to it is a 4-speed automatic transmission. Nothing special, cool, or interesting here, but again, pretty reliable, and I don't have any major concerns. Last but not least about the drivetrain, this is 4-wheel drive, and we'll talk about how to select that a little bit later on. How does it feel to drive the Toyota Land Cruiser VX Limited Active Vacation? It's actually pretty good. It does have a really nice ride quality to it. It's nice, soft, and supple, and this is basically the Lexus that we got here in the States, the LX 470. That's basically what this is. And so it rides really nice. It drives really nice, has decent power and all that. Visibility is fine. I also do have a little mirror up on the hood that's really helping me out in terms of front and side visibility. This did have a camera system from the factory. However, I believe it's been removed at some point. So it did have a backup camera in the year 2000. Really, really nice to see that. And overall, it's a big brick. It drives like one, but that's kind of why you buy a Land Cruiser, to cruise all of the land, not some of the land some of the time. They would have called it the Toyota Sometimes Cruiser. No, it's the Toyota Land Cruiser. So there you go. With that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I have 6 gauges. Off to the left is my fuel and battery voltage. In the center, we get the speedometer and tachometer. And off to the right, we have the oil pressure and coolant temperature. On the steering wheel, we don't get any forward-facing buttons. However, we do have a cruise control stalk to the bottom right. And off to the right, we have a climate control vent. We have 2 dead switches, but we do have our power mirrors, our power folding mirrors, and our headlight washers. So plenty to love here in the Land Cruiser, and I like those amenities a lot. Moving on to the door, we have the latch to get in and out, power locks, power windows, and some nice wood trim. And moving into the center, we get our climate controls as well as our touchscreen infotainment. This did have factory navigation as well as a bunch of things in Japanese that I can't particularly read. This also does have a TV mode, so you could get TV channels if you were driving it in its native country of Japan. They have TV channels that are broadcast for cars, so you have a little TV button there. We have the logic control, cassette tape, power volume, things like that. Down below, we have more climate control settings. We have our rear climate, and off to the right, we have our hazard switch and our center locking differential. Again, the Land Cruiser's meant to cruise all of the lands, not some of the lands, so you get cool features like that. Then we do have not an ashtray, because it says no smoking, smoking on it, which I assume at one point said no smoking. Two 12-volt outlets, and then we move into the center stack. So up at the very top, we have our suspension settings. So you can raise and lower the vehicle, which is really, really special. However, you can also set it into comfort or sport modes, and you could turn the height control off. So very, very cool customization here for the height of the vehicle. It does have air suspension, which is really neat. Off to the left of that, we have our 4-wheel drive settings for 4 high and 4 low. Shifter in the center, as well as shift modes for power and second. Second will start you off in second gear for less wheel slippage. This is useful in the snow, mud, things like that. Then we have a handbrake, and you will see this Clifford module here and up on the dash. This is an aftermarket alarm, which kind of freaks me out. But then we do have openable cup holders. And so we will do a big freaking bottle test here in the 2000 Land Cruiser VX Limited Active Vacation. And this might be, ladies and gentlemen, the very first right-hand drive Japanese domestic market vehicle to fully pass the big friggin' bottle test. Then we do get a dual opening center console, so you could open up just the top or open up the larger section at the bottom. This is actually where you'll find your multi-CD magazine insert. So you can load a couple CDs in there, put it in the center console, and listen to your tunes. And then we have the seats. The seats are cloth. Now, in Japan, cloth is viewed as the more luxurious option, or at least most luxury cars have a lot of cloth options. So you find that here in the Land Cruiser. I really like this cloth. It's been nice and comfortable, and they are heated. I forgot to mention underneath the 4-wheel drive settings, there are the heated seat options, which are very, very nice. I am not using today because it is very warm outside, but if it were cool, I would be abusing them completely. However, speaking of seats, we do have another row of seating, and then we'll talk about the Active Vacation, so stick around for that. All right, let's get in the back of the 2000 Land Cruiser Active Vacation. Step up here, we do have a grab handle right here. Close the door up. And there we go, we're in the back. Now, as you can see, the seats do fold down, and we'll talk about this here in a second. We get to enjoy the sunroof. Down here, we do have some fold-out cup holders, 3 cup holders. So everyone, even the middle seat person, gets their own cup holder, which is very, very nice. Seat back pockets, and of course, ashtrays in the doors, because why not? The space back here is actually pretty good. I could ride back here, 5'11", not a small guy, and I'll fit happily. Almost everyone in Japan is smaller than me, so obviously for their home market, this was great. And nothing too crazy. And the Land Cruiser in general was never anything like too crazy. Like, these were never flashy, they were never showboaty, they were never like, oh, look at me, I'm a Land Cruiser. They were always just about doing the job and doing the job as best they can. And that will be pushed again, that theory will be pushed when we hop into the back. But while we are up here, not too shabby. Not too shabby at all. I like that I do get 2 grab handles too, because this is the oh shit handle and this is the we're f***ed handle. So I'm glad that they gave you both in the Land Cruiser. But let's hop into the trunk and talk about what would be the Active Vacation with a heavy asterisk. Okay, so we're around the back of the Land Cruiser. Let's talk about the Active Vacation. So you saw it here, you saw it in the title of the video, and this says Toyota Excellent Conversion Series, TECS. This from the factory, from Toyota. Now, there's only a couple of these that were made. They didn't make a whole lot of them. This was a factory overlanding camper, meaning in the back would have a bed, a stove, some storage, things like that. This was built by Toyota. You could go and buy it, and it was a factory overlanding camper. So incredibly cool. However, this car came in from Japan, and when it arrived to the port, it had everything in it, and when it got to America, it did not. So somewhere in the shipping process, someone removed all of everything that made this vehicle special. The bed, the stove, things like that. I do have pictures from JDM Select Imports of before the car was imported, what the back looked like. An absolute travesty that this is all that they left. This little liner that would go underneath the bed is all that they left remaining in the back of this. So, while it's incredibly cool that it existed, and I wanted to share with you that really cool trim level, I can't actually show it to you because it's not here. We do have some storage over here and things like that, but no bed, no stove. We can open this as well. This does come down to a tailgate. This is standard Land Cruiser stuff. That's not that new. But again, that's what the active vacation was. It was a built-in camper back in the back of your Land Cruiser. You could drive it up a mountain, park up, sleep, stay the night, cook some food, all of that. Super, super special. It's just, I don't have it in front of me to show you. And it sucks. I was so excited. I was tracking this car when it left Japan, knowing that it would come here with all the camper stuff, and yet someone took it out. So, unfortunately, pull this back down. There you go. That's the storage space of the Land Cruiser. Now we got to talk about the looks, and I don't mind the look of the Land Cruiser. I don't think it's like anything super, super special. I think it's fine. I think it does the job. I don't love the white paint. I don't like the non-Toyota grille up at the front, but other than that, it's fine. The one thing I did want to point out, because the owner pointed this out to me and I was unaware, there are these vents on the, I guess technically D pillars towards the back of the car. These are actual useful vents, because when the windows are up and the doors are slammed shut, this actually relieves pressure from inside the cabin. I didn't know that these vents actually had a use, so that was pretty cool to learn. With all of that being said, let's get on to my final thoughts. What do I think driving the 2000 Toyota Land Cruiser VX Limited Active Vacation? Well, besides the fact that that is an absolute mouthful, this car is great. Let's talk about the Land Cruiser in general. It's wonderful. It is built to drive up and down a mountain and not complain about it. This is a true off-roader that Jeeps and Broncos want to be. They aspire to be something like this. Those vehicles are so rough and tumble. This blends luxury and utilitarianism so seamlessly. It's great to drive. It has wonderful features. And again, when the apocalypse inevitably comes, this is what I want in my driveway. I don't want a Stellantis piece of garbage that's going to break down or need 3 scan tools in order to stay on the road. I don't want a little Suzuki Jimny that's just too small. This is it. And there's a reason why these carry a relative premium. But now let's talk about the active vacation. I know we can't actually take a look at it here today. It's such a horrible tragedy that someone at the port decided to take it upon themselves and steal everything out of the back. This is so incredibly rare. Most people probably don't know that these exist. I did not know that this existed. But it's cool to see that in Japan in the time, the road trip was starting to get big. A lot of the vehicles I've reviewed from the 80s and 90s that are Japanese, they start to really embrace the road trip. And this is that to the 10th degree. Toyota offering a factory camper in one of their popular vehicles is something you just don't see or hear of anymore. Sure, you can buy a Toyota Sienna and it has an outlet in the back, but you can't buy a Sienna with a bed. You can't buy a Sienna with a stove, but you could buy a Land Cruiser with that stuff. And that to me was so special. It guts me like a fish that I can't show it to you here today besides the images from when this vehicle was still in Japan. But I wanted to make a PSA that yes, it does in fact exist. And this is it in, well, most of its glory. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to JDM Select Imports for allowing me to borrow their Land Cruiser for today's video. They're absolutely wonderful. I also reviewed their Daihatsu A-Tri earlier this year, so please go check them out. If you would like to buy this Land Cruiser, you can do so down in the description below. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.